The Pope walked onto his balcony. The crowd cheered until he waved them down. His face scrunched like he had sucked a big lemon.
At 9:15 last night, on the 22nd of May, God died of natural causes.
Screams echoed outside the Vatican.
He passed peacefully in his sleep. He did not struggle or feel pain. He was infinity years old.
Then the Pope walked back inside, despite the pleading of the crowd. An advisor knocked on the door of the Pope's private quarters. He ignored the "No trespassing" sign and entered. The Pope lay on his bed, making raspberry jetliner sounds as he zoomed a crucifix through the air.
Mr. Pope, everyone wants to talk to you.
Not now. I just lost my father.
The advisor put his hand on the Pope's shoulder.
Sir, we all did.
The Pope cocked his head. He hadn't considered this.
Very well.
There were no cheers when the Pope tread the balcony.
I should clarify. Jesus is alive, so is the Holy Spirit. But God died last night of a heart attack.
Shouts erupted. Someone hurled a pine cone at the Pope's hat.
Sorry, I didn't think everyone could handle the truth. His heart exploded while he was on the toilet.
A murmur rippled across the crowd.
Yes, like Elvis.
The Pope confirmed. He pulled out a large scroll from his backpack.
This is his last will and New Testament.
The crowd went silent. God was everyone's dad. Each person thought, maybe he left something for me.
Item 1, God's vacation home in Nantucket. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 7 toilets. This he leaves to Ches Porterhouse.
The name garnered no reaction from the crowd.
God's comprehensive collection of Maxim and Stuff magazines. He leaves to Ches Porterhouse.
Who's Ches Porterhouse?
Asked a second grader in a First Communion bridal gown. In a luxury jail cell, Ches Porterhouse watched the Vatican live stream. Tears flowed down the folds in his jowls. God had answered all of his prayers on the exchange floor.
That asshole.
He blew his nose with a Superman issue number 1, then wiped his forehead with several credit cards.
He knew I already have all the Maxims.
The door buzzed to admit Porterhouse's butler, wearing an orange jumpsuit and bow tie. He bore an exquisite origami dove on a silver platter.
What's it say, Buttersby?
The butler unfolded the dove. The wake will be held in Bardo Manor tomorrow evening at 4, with dinner to follow. Dress is creative black tie. The whole gang will be there.
Even trivia?
The butler nodded. Porterhouse yanked the mouthpiece off a vintage phone, but dialed no number. It went direct.
Mr. Governor, I need tomorrow evening free.
No, you fucking idiot. I can't come to dinner. I have to attend the wake of God.
Trivia held the book wide so the children could see all the pictures.
In the grandma's lap, there was a cat hidden in a basket. And the car went bump, bump, bump to Florida. Do you all see the kitty?
The teacher's aide entered the room. Not wishing to alarm the children, the aide bent beside Trivia and whispered in her ear. Her face grew stony.
Sorry, class, but we have to stop the story early.
Children groaned as Trivia retrieved a remote from her desk. She switched on the TV. And this just in, I've been informed there are no more tissues in the Vatican. An anchor reported. News footage showed nuns wiping their faces with slices of bread. A headline scrolled along the bottom. God dead, negative infinity to 2013. The Pope has gathered himself and appears ready to read the rest of the will. More teachers had joined to watch the report. They comforted the weeping Trivia.
The next item, God's cherry red PT Cruiser. It is bequeathed to Trivia Martinez.
The teachers around her gasped, but Trivia did not. She walked slowly to a window facing the parking lot. She crooked a hole in the blinds with a finger. The PT Cruiser awaited her in a front row parking spot. The vice principal approached.
You knew God?
She didn't take her eyes off the car. There on the dash, an origami dove.
Back in high school, God was my best friend.
On the broadcast, the Pope continued reading.
As for God's billions and billions of smackers, he leaves it all to Amalgus, the lighted.
In a compound buried deep in Bolivia, a man in flowing robes praised hands to the sky.
The time is now, O flock. We will be born upon a current of electric grace to the next realm. A better realm. A realm of no pain, of no worry, of no pressing bankruptcy. Raise your goblets now!
Children and parents and elders and even a couple spider monkeys in the forest lifted goblets of tainted lemonade to their lips.
I love you all. We will meet so soon, beloved. Drink!
Amalgus the Lighted prepared to drink, but moments before he could, a bejeweled servant whispered urgently in his ear.
You all go on ahead. I have a matter to attend to.
While the disciples in their hundreds took the lemonade plunge into the next realm, Amalgus entered his sanctuary. There, a team of lawyers delivered the news of God's death, several burlap sacks of his handsome bequeathing, and an origami dove.
Oh, what a tragedy!
He cried, covering a grin with cloying hands.
What a terrible loss!
He said, jumping up and down.
There wasn't a night we didn't talk. I'll never get over it.
His giggles were just louder than the groans of the dying. Looting broke out at the Vatican. 3 children carried a solid gold cross out through a shattered stained glass portrait of St. Anthony.
Finally,
The Pope said.
the large memoirs and framed movie posters go to Ranjit P. Jackson.
Investigators carefully placed a blood-splattered origami dove into an evidence bag. Cameras flashed and clicked. A TV played the ongoing Vatican broadcast. Blood on the scimitar slowly turned black. But the goodbye note, written in gold ink, was still wet to the touch.
Bloodbath for one, page Mr. Jackson,
Said a short, rotund investigator with a lazy eye. He wore a very small hat and even smaller glasses, both of which were jaunty. His finger smeared the word holiness on the note.
To be fair, if my best friend died, I'd slice something too. Thankfully, licorice can't die.
He slurped up 2 Twizzlers like spaghetti.
I'm absolutely cuckoo for licorice.
He winked at the camera.
Basco,
Growled a barrel-chested figure ducking under the crime scene tape.
Bo Basco. I thought you were in the Philippines.
The Philippines, Commissioner Conrad.
Basco offered his still paint-dripping hand for a shake.
The only Philip I'm paying is the Philip of Justice.
The commissioner shook, then frowned at his hand.
I do declare, after taking in all the evidence, upon weighing every morsel of data, that Ranjit P. Jackson won't be attending God's wake.
The dove in the evidence bag went past. Basco deftly reached in and grabbed it.
But you know what, Commissioner? Perhaps I will be.
The bus dropped off Trevia a half-mile from Bardo Manor. The immense structure appeared over a hill of wildflowers now losing their petals to drought. Before she could reach the intercom, the gate automatically opened with a groan of gears. On the veranda, a platter of lamb and fresh greens awaited the first attendee, as well as an array of colorful beverages sweating in crystal glassware. As she took her first sip, a helicopter chopped over the horizon and landed on the helipad opposite the pool. Trevia Martez watched as Amalgus the Lighted emerged. She gasped and rose to her feet.
Clincy? Clincy Ruffles?
Said Amalgus.
No one's called me that since high school.
She locked his head under her armpit and gave him a vicious noogie. They laughed the laugh of old friends. A roar filled the air. The coolest motorcycle anyone had seen. Double wide front wheel, 2 back wheels, enough trunk space for groceries. Rattled safely up the driveway. Ches Porterhouse ripped his helmet off to reveal a thinning dome of drenched, helmet-crimped air. Trevia lost her breath.
Ches?
Amalgus frowned at the man and his windbreaker. Tried to lean closer to Trevia to comment, but she was gone. Ches and Trevia made for a hug, fumbled it, and settled on a long handshake.
Trivia! It's been years. Back when we won the superlative for most likely to succeed in business / preschool.
He was cut off by a chime. An electronic voice followed.
All attendees may now enter the manor.
The three old friends snaked through a hallway lined with paintings of God from every culture, ranging from bloodthirsty to lamb coddling. They arrived inside a dim banquet hall adorned with chandeliers and 200 unoccupied seats circling empty tables. Trivia frowned.
Where are all the disciples?
They're not the same as friends.
Amalgus sighed.
God was loved by many, but the only people who really knew him were you, me, Ches, and Ranjit.
Where is Ranjit?
Asked Ches.
Dead.
A voice answered from the dark.
Who is that?
Amalgus called out. Bo Basco emerged from the darkness with a Twizzler clamped in his teeth like a wet cigarette.
Name's Basco, Bo Basco, and I can tell you Ranjit P. Jackson is as dead as a dead dog in a funeral factory.
Bo Basco?
Trivia gasped.
You were the one who found the president's baby teeth.
In his mouth, of course.
Basco grinned.
Pervert mouth syndrome.
Ches recognized him too.
You rescued 7 orphans from 8 hippos.
Ah, yes, the night of 15 hideous beasts.
Amalgus did not share in their delight.
Then it's true. Ranjit is dead.
Basco bowed.
I prefer to think that his head simply said au revoir to his body.
Amalgus dropped to his knees. He began to gyrate, wave his arms, and chant,
Release his spirit unto God, God's peace unto him. Release his spirit unto God, God's peace unto him. Release his spirit unto God, God's peace unto him.
God's dead, you fool!
Ches snarled.
Stop him, both of you!
Trivia gasped.
God is still among us.
That would be me. Jesus interrupted. Everyone spun around to see Jesus descend a glass staircase, cross comfortably slung over his shoulders. A fawn and a toucan escorted him on either side. The three friends each had a double take. Jesus looked just like God when he was in high school.
Jesus?
Trivia murmured.
You set this all up?
You think I have time for this? My wife barely lets me take a shit. God roped me into this. Amalgus stared blankly.
God set this up? He knew he was going to die?
That's omnipotence for you.
Omniscience.
Basco corrected.
Whatever.
Jesus nudged the toucan and pointed at a bar in the corner of the cavernous room. The bird flew off and began mixing a drink at once.
Hey, you're not Ranjit.
Jesus said.
Who the heck are you?
Bo Basco is the name, and solving mysteries is my pursuit.
Oh, I know you. You're the detective with that annoying accent.
Accent? What accent?
The toucan returned with a Bloody Mary. Jesus sipped the twirly straw with greed.
Whatever. I don't care who's here. I got a Little League game to coach in 20. God left me this to read.
He unspooled a scroll that rolled across the floor.
Dearest friends, Amalgus, Ches, Trivia, and Bo. I invited you all here to mourn not me, but yourselves. I favored each of you in life. Amalgus, I talked to you alone in my true voice. Ches, I answered your every prayer in the stock exchange. Trivia, in high school we were more than best friends. Well, and Bo, you're the only one who can solve Ranjit's murder?
Murder?
Basco accidentally swallowed his Twizzler whole in a single choking suck.
Each of you were the world to me, and each of you will answer for your misdeeds. This is not a wake, this is purgatory, a cleansing fire. If you survive, you might just meet me on the other side.
Jesus stopped reading.
Survive? What's that supposed to mean?
The Bloody Mary fell to the ground in a shatter of glass, straw still in Jesus' mouth, whistling as he sputtered.
Jesus?
Trivia asked.
Are you okay?
Jesus went purple in the face and fell to his knees. The fawn tried to lick his cheek, and he smacked it away, gasping in a horrendous suck of air. He made the international sign for choking. Trivia ran to his aid, but the toucan, confused, began to ward her off. It tugged at her curls, and she screamed. Amalgus and Ches both ran to her rescue, while Basco chewed a new Twizzler and took Jesus's pulse.
He's dead.
Everyone went still. Even the toucan stopped flapping.
Dead is a dead dog in a funeral factory.
He used his Twizzler to poke at the shards of the Bloody Mary.
I'd suspect poison, unless he choked on an olive.
Trivia wept. Amalgus lay prostrate and began a new chant. The toucan flew away, followed by the fawn.
I'd suspect that any of us could be next.
Ches grabbed Basco by his stained undershirt collar.
What do you mean, licorice boy?
A chime played again, followed by the same voice.
The wake will now begin in the parlor.
Basco followed the three friends through a sunlit hallway and found the parlor fittingly decorated for a wake. Black drapes covered every window. Photos of God through his life were displayed on easels. God posing with a football. God shaking hands with George Washington. God fishing with a toddler Jesus at the family farm. At the front of the room lay 2 exquisite pine boxes. Basco approached the one to the left. Jesus was now dressed in a white suit, laid inside. In the largest pine box, God lay in an immaculate white robe.
Looks good for a corpse.
He placed a finger under God's nose. No breath.
Who's gonna officiate?
Before anyone could answer, the lights all went dark. Amalgus screamed. That was when a projector clicked to life above them, flashing a bright white square on the parlor wall. A picture of God's friends and a young God appeared.
Prom night.
Trivia spoke between the fingers covering her mouth. While the 3 friends succumbed to nostalgia, Basco rotated his sphere of a head every which way.
Must be a tech booth somewheres.
Basco shielded his eyes and looked into the source of the projector light. He saw a hidden alcove above the ceiling.
Bingo!
He raced up a back staircase, wheezing and pinching at a stitch in his side as he ran.
Look.
Trivia nudged Amalgus, and pointed at a new projection.
I forgot you used to have a perm.
What a dweeb!
Ches laughed, scooting closer to Trivia. Amalgus did not reciprocate.
Well, I'm not anymore. Or did you forget? I was God's last best friend, his best friend. He forgot all of you, but he stuck with me. I am the chosen one.
A fresh image appeared on screen. Unlike the others, it was new. A picture of the three friends from behind, staring at a projected image on the wall.
What's this one from?
Asked Ches. Another image appeared, this one closer, narrowing in on Amalgus's back. At the top of a servant's staircase, Basco found the tech booth. A cup of wine sat next to a laptop, which played the slideshow. On the keyboard, a post-it note written in gold ink.
Oh, me.
Basco tittered.
What's this?
He picked it up and read the words.
Who is God's favorite?
He brushed a thumb in the ink. It smeared.
Where have I seen this handwriting before?
Trivia's scream broke his concentration. He grabbed the post-it note and hightailed it down the stairs. He made it to the bottom to find Amalgus in a pool of blood. A telephone receiver stuck between his shoulder blades, the cord snaking to a rotary base. He swallowed his licorice whole once more. Ches and Trivia held one another, both weeping.
Did you see the culprit?
Both shook their heads. Basco investigated the wound. Trivia wept in Ches's arms.
The headset ain't sharpened, stuck in blunt. Fitting for someone who claimed to speak directly to God.
The mouthpiece still stuck out, and Basco spoke into it.
Hello? Anyone there?
He smirked.
Suppose I'd have to stick my head in his ribcage to hear the answer.
He handed Ches the note.
Can you make heads, tails, or torsos of this here note?
Ches read it out loud.
Who is God's favorite?
He began to laugh without any humor and let go of Trivia.
See for yourself.
He pointed to a projected image on the wall. God had his arms wrapped around a teenaged Trivia, cheeks pressed warm together.
It's always been her. Always.
Trivia tried to uncurl his quaking fists.
Please, Ches, there's nothing to be jealous of.
The only reason I came was because I knew you'd be here. But nothing's changed. Don't matter he's dead, he still loves you.
No, he doesn't.
Trivia said low.
Not after what happened.
Another electronic chime played. A voice followed it over unseen speakers.
The reception dinner is now beginning in the banquet hall.
The three survivors eyed one another, none wishing to make the first move.
Fish in a dang barrel.
Ches huffed. He stepped over Amalgus's body. The banquet hall contained one long table lit with candles, salads already served, and drinks already poured. Basco sat next to Trivia, while Ches stood unsure before his place setting.
I ain't touching this food. Poison, all of it, too.
He knocked his wine glass to the floor.
I'm out of here. I'm supposed to be in prison.
Trivia objected.
Chez, come on. This is for God.
I don't owe him anything.
Your bank account begs to differ,
Basco said over the rim of his wine. Chez said nothing in response. He stomped out of the room. Basco turned to Trivia.
So, you're God's favorite.
Was God's favor right?
What happened?
We were more than friends in high school. We were intimate. When I missed my period, I told him. He promised he'd be a good daddy. The best. But when the baby never came, he didn't believe me. Said I did it on purpose. We were never close again.
Did anyone else know about that? Think hard.
No, just me, God, and
Chez wailed a muffled scream from down the hall.
Chez!
Basco and Trivia raced down the corridor. The eyes of the paintings followed them, half-lidded in dozens of grins. In one, he was eating popcorn. The door to the balcony was smashed open as though a massive beast had broken through. A pile of pennies glistened where the shadows ended. Chez lay on a reclining beach chair facing the pool, gold in the setting sun. At first, he appeared to be relaxing. Then his body spasmed and coins fell to the ground.
Chez!
Basco and Trivia walked around to behold his face. Dollar bills stuck out of his mouth, quarters and nickels bulging the cheeks out, belly distended as well. His nose had been transformed into a pig's nose.
A human piggy bank!
Basco marveled. Trivia stepped away, stunned.
No, that's impossible.
Strange,
Basco conceded.
but hard to say impossible, seeing as it did in fact happen.
Trivia doubled over with a groan.
Now, don't tell me you swallowed coins too.
Basco laughed.
No,
Trivia fell to the ground, clutching her stomach. Basco bent to her side and slung her over his shoulder.
Let's get you inside.
Bo Basco dragged Trivia down the corridor, but found the body heavier and heavier with each step. In the banquet hall, he cleared the table, splattering salads and spritzers to the floor. He struggled to lay her on top. Trivia groaned. Basco placed his hands on her stomach, but withdrew them in shock.
Rambling rutabagas.
Trivia's belly inflated, popping out of her funeral attire. The skin zigzagged with instantaneous stretch marks.
Basco!
She grunted.
You need to get out of here. There's only one person with this kind of power.
The devil? A really good magician.
No!
Her belly banged her backwards with an internal kick.
Think, Basco, think!
Her spine cracked as the belly grew even larger, too large for a mere infant. Basco thought furiously rubbing his temples and chowing Twizzler after Twizzler. The gold ink on Ranjit's supposed suicide note. A face pigified. A sudden sexless pregnancy. A telephone stabbed intact into a backside.
It couldn't be.
The table collapsed under the weight. Trivia burst apart like a party popper full of intestines. There, standing up from the blood mist in a spotless white robe was
God?
Basco backed away in terror.
But how? You're dead.
I was.
God moaned, stepping out of Trivia and onto lettuce.
But now I'm not.
Basco shook his head.
So it was you. You killed Amalgus and Ches and Ranjit. I suppose I can understand them. But Trivia, she was your fave, all right.
No, Bo, my sweet little Bobo. She was never my favorite. That would be you.
Basco again inhaled a Twizzler whole.
You're such an amazing detective.
God swooned. He took a step forward for every step Basco took back.
The way you pepper every observation with a wisecrack, how you never run out of licorice, and that accent, I think it's so cool. I just had to meet you. I'm just such a fan. I know about all your adventures.
The Lord stroked the detective's cheek.
The time you caught the shark that ate the queen, when you went undercover as a Boy Scout to expose a counterfeit popcorn ring, I knew you'd love this. This whole thing has Basco written all over it, right?
Basco fell to his round bottom, head spinning.
You staged this? So many people died.
I know. Pretty hardcore, huh?
You killed your own son.
It was the only way to show how much I love you.
God said, twirling a finger in his hair.
Killing my son is my love language. And I'd kill him again, too. I'd kill anyone if they stood between us. And now we can finally get to know one another. Forever.
Basco flinched as God wrapped his arms around him there on the floor. He did not fight.
You're warmer than I thought you'd be.
God said, sniffing in his scent.
Rumbling rutabagas.
Basco sighed. Finally, Bo Basco faced a mystery he could not solve. How to get away. Once God loves you, there is no escape. Unless
I booked a photo session for us.
God told Basco.
I don't want to forget this. I packed a couple outfit changes for you. A few more for me. Not that we're matchy-matchy, but they have a certain visual hierarchy.
I sell my soul to the devil.
Basco shouted. A cooler motorcycle than the one before smashed through the dining room window. 3 front wheels, 6 in the back, extra mirrors on the handles, plus a little GPS attachment from SkyMall that even gives the weather forecast. And at its helm,
Hop on, Shoosh,
said the devil, stroking his goatee with a hoof. Basco flopped his torso over the seat. The devil gunned it too fast for Basco to buckle a helmet. They roared through the broken window and out of sight. God sat behind, frozen in grief. Stained glass clattered leisurely to the marble. The toucan flew into the room and landed at God's side.
Better cancel the photographer.
God told the bird. Bo, Basco, and the devil rode past canyons and plateaus, each puffing on lit licorice like cigars.
Thanks for helping me out of that thick pickle back there.
Don't mention it, Humla Humla,
Said the devil.
I'm a big fan. I need a guy like you, Shug.
Oh dear.
Basco took the licorice out of his mouth and examined it as though it were to blame.
I already toned down one deity today.
Not like that, babe. It's a heist, Shug.
A heist?
The biggest heist of all, Humla Humla. Shug, I'm talking heaven.
Basco looked at the camera and inhaled the licorice in a belch of smoke.
One unmutilated. The stars